Hello everyone, my name is BatNoBX and today I wanted to go over how to actually learn from tutorials. So one of the big things is of course that you need a tutorial that actually teaches you pretty well. That's big, that's obviously one of the number one parts. Another thing is actually looking at the information they're giving you and thinking about how it's used apart from what you're looking at. Because if I go in for a tutorial that's just teaching me how to do doors, then I'm learning how to open up doors, cool. And maybe you did one where you're learning how to lock doors and then unlock the door. Ooh. That's all cool and well. But if you just look at it as that, you're missing out on the fact that timelines can be used for other things. You've learned floats, you've learned flip-flop, you've learned how to play an audio from that location. You've learned how to set a key. You've learned how to cast to a player. It's all pretty simple. All you do is set up the overlaps, sandbox character, the cast goes through a variable inside of it. There's so much you learn from this. The character has a variable set for booleans. And the door could have is just as simple as hitting the flip flop to connect to a timeline, play reverse, set relative rotation. That's based off of the area inside the blueprint that it's located. So if I move the blueprint in game level, then it doesn't change anything of the code. It's still 00 going to 90. If you're just looking at it as, okay, I'm learning how to do doors, then you're missing out on how this code can be used the exact same to do something like a chest. And then with that chest, you can actually use that same code to collect loot and open and close the chest. But with this, there's so many other things like these right here. I can delete two of them. They're all one code. They're casting to each other. But if you're just watching the video for, okay, I got a moving platform with the button, E, timeline, cool. I got the location moving back and forth. I got the button reference, and now I've got set material. You've learned how to do the button and everything, but if you're paying attention, you've not just learned that, you've learned timelines again. What same thing we use for the other. Whoa. Then we do the relative location. Cool, that's the same thing we did for the door, but instead of rotation, we're getting location. So we're learning multiple different things that could be used for different codes. We just have to think about it. We have the reference here. We have a custom event. We named it, but once you cast to the button by connecting a variable down here, which is connected to the name of the other blueprint. So if it's moving platform, it's just connected to object reference, and then it's with the eye open. That's all it is. Then you connect from there, create the button press, which is the event. And this has taught you, like, okay, so cool, I can change the materials, I can connect multiple things without even casting to it. I've just got a reference to it. Well, the reason that that's really cool is now I can have multitude of these with the same code, and now it all works very specifically to be able to connect multiple using one type of code. So if I wanted to set up a whole entire puzzle system with this one code, I now can do 3 different sets to it using that exact same code, all without changing anything. And then of course you have a save system, you just set it up and connect it to it. But yeah, you went from just learning how to button and open and make the platform move to making it move. You now can cast between things. You can take all that stuff and put it into different code. That's why it's so important to pay attention to the message of the tutorial rather than just the specific variables and set that is used from that code. If you copy and paste, you're not going to learn anything. That same rotation for the door, you change the axis, you just be a little creative. And now you've got trapdoor systems, you've got the chest system, which is really cool. And then you've got to take into account that if I'm looking at level design, if I look at it as, oh, okay, so I don't like a specific system, it's not going to go in my game. That doesn't mean that that's a good idea. So right here, I've got a few things. Somebody didn't like me. A couple people haven't liked the idea of using cube grid in videos. Problem with that is just because you're looking at it and you click away because the cube grid's in there, you've lost so much information just because you don't like that one system. And that could have been all the information you needed, but a little bit of prejudice got in the way. So now you've lost out on all that info. That sucks. Then you've got to look at it from you're not just the only person who's going to be playing this game. If you're making a game to release, you're making it for people to enjoy and play. So you have to make it with the idea from their perspective as well. So if you're just going in here and yada yada yada, I like the game specifically this way. Well, you need to learn to open up and adapt a bit better. Because if I drop in just this room right here and I look around, if I'm a player who's never seen your game before, your eyes are useless. If I'm the new player, I'm brand new. I don't know anything of this. I might look around. I'm probably going to. Many people will. So if you start playing little story beats right here, I'm probably going to miss out on it. But if I step through here, there's nothing to do other than this one hallway. So if it starts playing action or audio or something happens over there, Dead Space is really good about this. You step through and it starts doing stuff on the other side of this window. You've now, looking at this, you can take it from this event and you can put that in multiple different parts of your game. It's not just, oh, cool, well, I learned how to introduce them to just that. Well, hold on. Now you can take this, put it into other parts of your same project, and use that in order to get your points through, get the player's attention. You've opened up your eyes and your mind of like, okay, so there's multiple people going to play this. I need to rethink my strategy of how I'm designing this. With all of that in mind, there's so much you can do. This same thing right here is the same exact code. The moving platform is the same exact code for an elevator, but instead you make the button pretty simple. If I wanted to set this thing up and use it as an elevator, I would just take two of the buttons. And instead of just having one here, I could actually take this code and simply stop the looping. But yeah, so if I wanted to use that, I could take that information, I could activate that button, I could head over and hit the other one, and instead of it just going up, it would also go back. So yeah, I could create a whole elevator system using the code that I've learned. There's all sorts of different things to keep in mind. If you're looking at level design videos, if you learn how somebody designs puzzles and then you just copy the same puzzle they did, you didn't learn that the point of the video. The point of the video was to show the players and how to introduce them to things. That doesn't mean it's just this same puzzle. It's the ideas and the implementation that you need to learn. So like if I have a door you open up and you see this green button and the thing's moving across, it's not about the fact that it's a moving platform with the green button. It's the fact of that I have taught the player, okay, now they have seen the green button, they've seen that this is active. It's about the psychology of the player. You need to keep that in mind. Once they're done and going across, next time they see a button, if it's not green, they'll notice that it's different. And a fair amount of cases is going to get them to hit E on the button, and that's going to change it to green. So that shows them, okay, so you can activate buttons, and I showed them that subconsciously, so it's keeping in mind the subconsciousness of the player, their psychology, all of these points from the video. It's not just about looking at a video for its base move. Like from over here, the smooth thing, it's like, yeah, I used a modern level interior. That's not the point of the video. The point of the video is the fact of, in all the games there are, you need to pay attention to how the flow works. It's not just about this. This is just a reference. If you're looking at it so hardcore of like, oh, they used a modern building as a reference, that's great. That's not the point. The point is that this kind of game right here, it's great to have the flow through here. Again, I just want to give you this information because it can be extremely helpful. I know it's hard out there to learn all this stuff. Try not to overdo it. I know one of the big things is people learning far too much too fast. And so when they go to implement it, they haven't actually tested it. They haven't been practicing along with it. So a lot of the information falls through and they lose it. So then when they go to actually do it, they've got hours and hours and hours of tutorials, yes, but without that practice and understanding of how to implement it, none of it matters. I could sit here and watch and record hundreds of hours, but if people watch all 100 hours at once, yeah, maybe there's a few of you who will remember a lot of it, but most people aren't going to retain even a segment of that information. There's so much going on, and as soon as they go to think about something, they're going to be like, oh, okay, I remembered it talking about variable booleans at some point, but I don't exactly remember what it does. I know it's something about true and false, but I don't even remember how to activate them. So then you go in there and you start making a code. You're like, okay, I made a variable. Now how do I call it? They've lost the idea of, okay, now I got to do a branch. And now that branch has to connect to something, and that has to connect to something. If I've watched 30 videos, it's connected to so many different things, I don't know which does what anymore. So remember, don't overdo the amount of information you're storing. So yeah, I hope you all have learned something from this video. It's a bit more specific, I know, but I really wanted to go over the idea of why it's a bit harder to learn from tutorials and what are a few of the things you could look at that might be able to help you if you keep them in mind. So yeah, if you learned something from this video, I would please hit the like button. If you enjoyed it and want to learn more, please consider subscribing. And I hope you all learned a lot from this, and I hope you all have a good night.